10:52 p.m. Harlem. The street is quiet in a way that feels planned. A storefront light clicks off early. A patrol car rolls past and doesn't slow down. Bumpy Johnson stands near the curb, coat closed, hat low. Big Sam waits a step behind him, broad shoulders, steady eyes, hands empty. People nod at Sam like he's part of the block's foundation. 7 men step out from the corner, 7 to 1, boots controlled, coats stiff, hands hidden. Frank Lucas is the name behind it. He doesn't send them to shoot Bumpy. He sends them to lynch Big Sam. Make it ugly. Make it public. Make Harlem feel small. The hunters show themselves quick. Rope, nails, deacon, butcher, switch, white boy, and the specialist they call the hookman. Cord under his arm, eyes on exits. They angle toward a freight elevator behind a warehouse door. One narrow hallway to reach it. One cage that closes tight. Weak light that doesn't travel far. Everyone expected one ending. Big Sam disappears, and Bumpy is left standing alone. But here's the thing, Bumpy doesn't let outsiders choose what Harlem mourns. 14 minutes later, only one man comes back out. Missing a finger, breathing hard. In his pocket sits a coin, cold and clean appearance one. This is the story of the night Bumpy Johnson became untouchable. Harlem notices when the air changes. A numbers runner crosses the street early instead of cutting straight through. A shop owner turns his sign to close ed and doesn't explain. A mother pulls her kid inside by the collar without saying his name. A latch clicks. Curtains shift. Shoes scuff. Frank Lucas's money doesn't need to show up in person, but here's the thing his pressure does. A bartender who used to nod at Bumpy's people suddenly looks past them. A driver who used to run packages clean starts taking longer routes, stopping in bright streets where nobody does business. Jaw tightens. Eyes avoid. Big Sam walks with Bumpy like he always does, calm and steady. He doesn't stare at strangers. He watches corners. He keeps his hands empty so nobody can say he reached first. Thumb flexes once, then still. What they didn't know, Frank isn't trying to kill Bumpy tonight. He's trying to break the shield. He wants Harlem to see Bumpy without protection. He wants people to start doubting what Bumpy can hold. A patrol car rolls by, too slow, then keeps going. No questions, no help, just a quiet sign that nobody is stepping in. And that's the mistake outsiders think. Fear makes Harlem scatter. Fear makes Harlem gather, quietly, in back rooms, on stoops, in hallways where men don't speak much but listen hard. Heads nod, mouths shut. Bumpy reads the block like it's handwriting. He doesn't talk big. He doesn't promise revenge. He stands still and lets people feel his control. Because in that moment, if Harlem is going to answer Frank Lucas, it has to answer clean. Big Sam isn't loud. That's why people listen when he moves. He doesn't gamble in public. He doesn't drink where strangers can count his steps. He stands outside doors and makes problems think twice. Harlem trusts him because he's steady. Because when trouble comes, Sam doesn't panic. He handles it. Then he disappears back into the street like nothing happened. Jaw tightens, eyes steady. What they didn't know, Bumpy doesn't keep Big Sam for show. He keeps him because Sam understands responsibility. Bumpy walks one pace ahead, coat closed, hat low. Sam stays behind him, the distance always the same, not close enough to look afraid, not far enough to look careless. Hands empty. Shoulders loose. Ready. A kid from the block slips up, breath low. "Mr. Johnson." Frank's people talking ugly, he whispers. They saying they gonna hang Sam. Sam's eyes don't change, but his fingers flex once, 2 seconds, then still again. But here's the thing, Frank's men want a scene. They want Harlem watching. They want mothers pulling curtains and boys learning fear early. Bumpy doesn't give them that. He turns his head slightly and looks at Sam. One calm glance, no speech. Sam understands. Bumpy speaks quiet, like he's giving instructions for a simple errand. "Walk like you're alone," he says, "then stop where I tell you." Sam nods once. What they didn't know, Bumpy isn't setting up a fight. He's setting up proof, a contained lesson that won't spill onto the street where the wrong people can get hurt. Bumpy glances toward the freight elevator behind the warehouse door. Narrow hallway, tight cage, weak light, no space to run wide. Because in that moment, Frank's plan is about spectacle. Bumpy's answer is about control. Frank Lucas sits in a back room with no windows and no softness. A fan turns slow overhead. His finger taps once on the table, then stops. Two men stand in front of him, heads lowered like they're in church. They aren't praying, they're listening. But here's the thing, Frank doesn't raise his voice when he wants something done. He makes the room do the work. "I don't want Bumpy first," Frank says. "I want his man." One of the men nods quick. "Big Sam," he says. Frank's eyes stay flat. "Hang him," Frank says. "Where Harlem can smell it." What they didn't know, Frank isn't paying for death. He's paying for doubt. He wants people to look at Bumpy and wonder if he can still protect his own street. He leans forward slightly. "No shooting," he says. "No noise outside. I want a rope and a memory." The men swallow. They don't argue. Frank slides an envelope across the table without looking at it. Money inside, thick enough to make a man brave. Or stupid. "And you," Frank says, looking past them. "Pick 7. 7 names get chosen fast. Men who like cruelty. Men who like permission. Rope carries cord under his coat. Nails keeps his hands low. Deacon smiles like it's a mission. Butcher walks heavy. Switch stays jittery. White boy grins too easy. The hookman checks doors and locks like he's already planning exit. And that's the mistake. Frank thinks fear travels one way. He thinks it goes from his money into Harlem. He doesn't think it can come back with a message. 11:06 p.m. warehouse hallway. The freight door opens into a narrow corridor that smells like dust and old wood. One bulb hangs overhead, weak and yellow. The light doesn't reach the corners. The hookman goes first. He moves like he's done this before. Hand on the handle, eyes on the frame. Tool ready. The latch clicks soft. He nods once. 7 men slide inside. Rope keeps the coil under his arm like it's a tool. Nails walks tight behind him. Deacon whispers something and laughs under his breath. Butcher's boots hit heavier than the rest. Switch keeps his head down. White boy's smile shows teeth. The hookman closes the door and tests it once. It holds. But here's the thing, men who come to lynch somebody don't expect resistance. They expect the target to run. They expect the street to hide. They move down the corridor and see the freight elevator cage at the end. Steel bars, 1 button, 1 way down, no windows, no exit once the gate closes. Big Sam is there, standing near the cage like he's waiting for someone. Shoulders square, hands empty, eyes steady. He doesn't back up. He doesn't blink too much. Rope points at him. "There he is," he says. Big Sam's voice is low. "Leave," he says. Deacon laughs sharp. "Look at him," he says, acting proud. Nails steps forward, voice thick. "You think Bumpy gonna save you?" he asks. Sam looks at them like they're late. "He already did," he says. What they didn't know, the elevator is the trap, but the corridor is the funnel. To reach Sam, they have to stack up. They have to get close. The hookman shifts toward the door behind them, thinking exit. The bulb flickers hard, then steadies weak again. And the men keep walking forward. Certain Harlem is about to watch something ugly. 11:09 p.m. by the freight elevator cage. Big Sam stands still, back near the steel bars. The elevator button is inches from his hand, but he doesn't press it. He keeps his palms open. He keeps his breathing even. Rope stops a few feet away and lets the coil hang loose so Sam can see it. "This don't gotta be hard," Rope says. Sam's eyes stay on him. Calm, flat. "You in the wrong place," he says. White boy laughs under his breath. "Harlem don't own the night," he says. "Frank do. But here's the thing, talk like that is for men who need courage." Nails steps closer, voice low. "You Bumpy's shield," he says. "We break you. We break him." Sam's jaw tightens once. "You don't know him," he says. What they didn't know, Sam isn't alone because Bumpy abandoned him. He's alone because Bumpy chose where this happens. The hookman shifts his weight and glances back toward the corridor. His hand drifts toward the door like he's already thinking about leaving. Sam sees it, doesn't react, keeps his shoulders square. Rope lifts the coil slightly. "We string you up," he says. Then Harlem learns. Sam's voice drops lower. "Harlem already learned," he says. And that's the mistake. They think fear is inside Sam. Fear is inside them. They just haven't felt it yet. The bulb above the corridor flickers. The light thins. The steel cage behind Sam hums once, like the elevator is waking up. 11:10 p.m. The freight elevator gate slams shut. Steel bars clack loud in the narrow space. The sound hits the corridor and comes back. Rope jerks his head toward it. "Don't let him drop," he snaps. But here's the thing, the elevator isn't moving down. It's moving up. The cage starts rising, slow and steady, pulling Big Sam out of their reach and forcing them into the only path left straight forward, tight and single file, into the corridor. They surge after him. Butcher pushes too hard and clips Nail's shoulder. Nail stumbles into Rope. Rope turns angry, shoving back. The line breaks for half a second, and in a hallway this narrow, half a second matters. What they didn't know, Bumpy picked a corridor that turned 7 men into one problem. The hookman hangs back near the door, eyes on the latch, ready to leave the second it goes wrong. The elevator reaches the next level with a hard stop. The gate rattles. Big Sam steps out above them, gone from reach. Deacon raises his gun toward the ceiling. "Shoot him!" he yells. Bumpy's voice comes from the dark behind them, calm, close. "No." Every head snaps around. The bulb at the far end flickers once. Weak light shows Bumpy standing in the corridor, coat closed, hat low, hands empty. He isn't rushing, he isn't loud, he's already placed. And that's the mistake. They thought Big Sam was the target. He was the bait. Rope swings his gun toward Bumpy. "You think we scared of you?" he spits. Bumpy doesn't answer with anger. He answers with distance. He takes one step forward, just one. The hookman reaches for the door handle to get out. It doesn't turn. A wedge is jammed under it from the inside. Tight, firm, no give. The hookman freezes. Breath catches. What they didn't know, the exit was decided before they walked in. Panic hits the men in front when they realize the corridor behind them is blocked by bodies, and the corridor ahead is blocked by Bumpy. Switch shoves backward and crushes White Boy against the wall. White Boy yelps. Nails swings in panic and hits Butcher instead of Bumpy. Butcher roars and fires once, wild. The shot slams into Deacon's chest. Deacon drops hard, shocked more than hurt, like he can't believe he's the one bleeding. Bumpy moves fast for the first time. One clean step, then another. He hits Rope's wrist, turns the gun down, drives Rope into the wall. Rope's breath breaks. Nails lunges. Bumpy catches him at the throat and pushes him back into Switch. 2 bodies collide and fall. The corridor becomes weight and choking air. Then silence. Only one man stays upright near the door. The hookman. Hands raised, eyes wide, tools forgotten. He's trembling like the building is shaking. Bumpy looks at him once. Cold. Measured. He steps aside and lets him pass. Not mercy. A message carried by breath. 11:14 p.m. The corridor is still. The bulb hangs weak overhead. Dust floats in the thin light. A gun lies near the wall, unused now. Bumpy steps over bodies without looking down. He doesn't rush. He checks quick, certain. Rope is pressed against the wall, eyes wide, not blinking. Deacon is face down, one hand twitching once, then stopping. Nails is on his side, breathing wrong. Butcher is out cold. Switch is curled near the corner, making small sounds. White Boy holds his ribs and can't stand straight. The hookman's tools sit near the door where he dropped them. But here's the thing, Harlem doesn't argue in the room. It fixes the room. A quiet man appears at the far end of the corridor, steady and silent. Bumpy gives one small nod. They move fast. No shouting, no panic. Coats get pulled, weight gets dragged. A door opens, then closes. The warehouse stays asleep. What they didn't know, the cops won't come help Harlem. Not tonight, not ever. The street already knows that. Bumpy crouches near the base of the elevator track, where the light doesn't reach. His fingers find something folded on the floor. A folded note, creased sharp appearance too. He pockets it without looking impressed. Outside, footsteps retreat down the street, one set, uneven, running on fear. Do you want me to expand? Chapter 9, 230 words? Yes. Chapter 9. The warning delivered. 11:41 p.m. Frank Lucas's back room. The hookman stumbles through the door like his legs forgot how to work. Coat open, hands shaking, breathing sharp, one hand pressed to his side like it hurts to move. Frank Lucas looks up and doesn't move at first. His eyes scan the room behind the hookman, waiting for the rest of his crew. Nobody follows. But here's the thing, silence answers before words do. Frank's jaw tightens once. You come back alone, he says. The hookman swallows hard. His eyes won't lift. They're gone, he whispers. All of 'em. The room goes still. Frank stands up slow. 7 men, he says. And you standing here breathing? The hookman nods, small and broken. He let me, he says. He wanted you to hear it. What they didn't know, this wasn't escape. It was selection. Frank steps closer, careful. What did he say? He asks. The hookman pulls his hand from his coat pocket. One finger is missing, blood dark on his sleeve. He doesn't look at it. He reaches past it and places something on Frank's table. A folded note. Creased, sharp appearance 3. Frank stares at it like it's a weapon. The hookman's throat tightens. He forces the words out, exact and steady, like he's repeating law. Touch my people, lose your hands. Silence holds. Frank doesn't shout. He doesn't pace. He just looks at the hookman like he's seeing him for the first time. And that's the mistake, Frank thought. Fear only travels one way. Some say the story got cleaner every time it was told. Years later, a witness claimed the patrol cars were close enough to hear everything, and still never came. Whether it's truth or legend, Harlem remembered who stood where. Frank Lucas sent 7 men to lynch Big Sam. 1 man came back missing a finger. Bumpy didn't ask for praise. He didn't make speeches on the corner. He kept moving quiet, like the block didn't need explanation. But things shifted. A landlord stopped letting strangers through side doors. A runner stopped paying twice. A shop stayed open later. People stopped looking over their shoulders every 10 steps. The street breathed normal again. Frank's money didn't disappear. It just stopped working on this block. Bumpy's warning wasn't loud. It was final. It said Harlem would not be hunted. If you want more Bumpy Johnson stories like this, hit subscribe. And, in the comments, do you answer a threat with violence or control?